This is real life right here on the channel. The other night I noticed I had a leaking dishwasher, and I've already diagnosed the problem. And I'm going to show you the steps I went through on how I determined the problem and what part to order. This is a GE GLD 4560N10SS model dishwasher. And the part number I'm going to be replacing is the water inlet valve WD15X10003. How I found out the part number that I needed to replace was I use a company called partsselect.com. And you can put in your model number and look up what symptoms or problems you're having, and they have what they believe are the most common issues or most common parts that you should replace to fix the problem that you're experiencing. Mine was pretty easy though. When we get into it a little bit deeper, I'll show you. I can see the water leaking from what is considered the inlet valve. I kind of call it the inlet outlet valve. So it's the water coming in and it's where the water drains out. It was leaking at the solenoid area. We'll go through that. This assembly is just one whole piece, how to fix that. And I'm going to get this dishwasher pulled out completely, get you with a different camera angle so you can see exactly what I'm going to do to make this repair. All right, before you proceed to pull your dishwasher out, definitely turn off the water, turn off the electricity. I've already done those two steps. This is the best view I have for you on this side for what we're replacing. This is the inlet valve right here where we have the water line connected, and we've got, this is where the drain tube is going back out. This whole assembly is what the kit that I ordered has. This is what it looks like outside of the dishwasher. That's what we're going to be replacing. I'll show you the front view where there are two screws in the front of this assembly here that hold that assembly in. And then you're going to have to disconnect your water line. You're going to have to disconnect your drain. And then you're going to have to reuse the fittings that connect your water line in. On this particular dishwasher, there are two screws up underneath here that hold the bracket on. I was able to remove those with a 5/16 socket. Once you get those out of the way, this bracket will slide down, and that made it easier for me to get the copper line off after I took it out of that notch, and I could move it around. I've already disconnected this copper line, and then I'm going to work on the rubber hose on the other side. Once you have the copper line off, then you can compress this clamp right here and slide it over to the side. Then you can just take the rubber hose off. There's going to probably be some water come out in these areas, so you're going to have to put some paper towels or something down there on the floor. The last thing we have to do to remove this old inlet valve is remove this connector. Take that off, kind of keep the orientation correct. I don't know if it'll go on both ways, but just remember how you took that connector off. And there's the old inlet valve. You're going to have to save your connections here depending on how your water line is connected. So I'm going to be taking this one out and adding it into my new inlet valve. If you're reusing your brass fitting like me, I recommend you clean all the threads. You may have to use a pick, and you may have to use a wire brush to get all of the Teflon tape or any thread sealant that was on there. I've already finished that step, and I am using a product called Blue Monster. I like this better than Teflon tape. This is a pipe thread sealant, and I've got mine ready. When you put it on there, you just want to make sure you're caked into the threads, but don't get any in the inlet or outlet side of your fitting, and it will thread in there. And in my opinion, you get a better seal with a pipe sealant, thread sealant, than you do with a Teflon tape. I haven't reattached the bracket yet, but I've hand tightened my copper line there at the bottom, and I've reattached the rubber hose. I'm moving my clip to the side here where I can easily access it, and then you just want to slide this up onto the hose and make sure that you still have a little bit of the rubber on this side of the clamp, and then just make sure the barb is between the hose and this side of the clamp there. All right, I've got these two screws in the faceplate tightened up. They are self-threading. The new bracket will not have threaded holes, so as you tighten these up, they will make threads into that bracket. You will start tightening these and it'll feel like it's stripping out, but it's actually just cutting threads as it goes through there. They should snug up, but do not over torque these or you could strip them out. But mine kind of felt like as I was turning them that it was stripping the head out there, but it did not. They did finally get tight and you do not want to over torque that once you feel them get snug. For tightening up this water line connection, I recommend you get something to support the dishwasher where you can tilt it all the way up. You can make as much room as you can underneath here to get a wrench. Mine happens to be 5/8. I've snugged it up, and I'll just give it one more last little snug to make sure I've got this as tight as I can. This is a flare nut, so it will tighten down on there and shouldn't have any problems, but I also put thread sealant on there just in case. The last thing you want to do while you're under here is go ahead and reconnect that wiring harness, remembering the orientation that you had. I did double check this will work both ways on my dishwasher, so just double check, and if you're having any problems once you start it back up, this could be where the orientation is wrong. So for mine, the orientation was like that. You can see one of the copper pins right there where I need to connect this on, and just make sure that that has a nice connection there. I've turned the water and the power back on, and what you want to do is look underneath here where your supply line comes in and make sure you don't have any water leaks right there, because even though the dishwasher's not on, you're going to have water coming straight to that valve. That solenoid is the only thing that opens and closes to put water into the dishwasher. So if you're already seeing a leak now before you run the dishwasher, you need to go back under there and tighten those fittings. Right now I don't see any water. Also, double check any plugs in this area while you were working. I did notice I had pulled this blue plug off the back of the motor, so I would have reassembled everything and thought something else was wrong. So just double check that. Like I mentioned, this blue plug on the back of the motor is what I had come loose. I think the water line kind of got in the way of it. I would reattach this kick plate, but for right now, I'm going to do a few cycles over the next couple of days, and then I'll leave this off just so I can keep an eye on that underneath there. Once I feel comfortable, say for the next couple of days, then I will reattach this. It's just held on by 2 screws. They go up in these little parts of the frame of the dishwasher. Again, this was the repair on a General Electric dishwasher model number GLD 4560N10SS. We replaced the water inlet valve, part number WD15X1003. Hopefully this information was helpful or useful for you, and if it was, please subscribe and share. And that's to the point.